Ladies and gentlemen, I cannot believe this is happening right now. This story is served up to us on a silver freaking platter. According to Raiders team media, it is actually Derek Carr's fault why Jimmy G keeps throwing interceptions. Plus, Josh Jacobs' agent calls out Raiders GM Dave Ziegler.
Yeah, we're hopeful it could open a door in that way.
Unfortunately, compared to other teams, we don't have too many camp highlights, and that's all I want to talk about. All I want to talk about is training camp, but unfortunately, it's quite hidden, and we keep having all this BS in the news. But some good news is that the Raiders have 3 players in the NFL Top 100, and that is, of course, Davante Adams sitting here at number 13, and then Max Crosby at number 17, along with a player who is yet to sign his franchise tag, and that is Josh Jacobs sitting here at number 12, which is absolutely insane to see that Josh Jacobs is rated higher than Davante Adams. Keep in mind, this is the peers around the NFL who are voting on this, and the fact that they considered Jacobs to be the 12th best player in the NFL says a lot, and that's probably why this guy's upset that he does not have a new contract yet. So no excuses for the Raiders this year, by the way. We got 3 players in the top 20. Most teams don't even sniff that. And we do have more stories coming out of camp, but unfortunately, it continues to be Jimmy Garoppolo throwing more interceptions. He's thrown several interceptions last week, and then he has a fresh interception served up this morning by safety Isaiah Polamau, who is building some hype and could be a UDFA steal who the Raiders picked up last year. But then you have another guy who may be competing with Jimmy Garoppolo. Hopefully he's doing well behind the scenes, and that is none other than the 4th round pick Aiden O'Connell, the rookie. This guy hit Jacoby Myers down the sideline for a solid deep 20-yard completion. I haven't heard that from Jimmy getting these deep 20-yard completions, but I am hearing it about Aiden O'Connell.
New York with Saquon Barkley and kind of the creativity there to get him in camp and add a little something to that 1-year deal. How much does that open the door for a similar possibility with Josh?
And the Raiders general manager Dave Ziegler, man, this guy is capping. This guy has lips the size of Michelin tires.
We're hopeful it could open a door in that way. The contract stuff, those are really tough situations.
He was asked about the Josh Jacobs situation, and what he says is a little contrary to what Jacobs has been saying.
We weren't able to find enough common ground before that deadline that the league puts in place.
So apparently they've just been working so hard to get Jacobs, a new deal, and the only issue is just the NFL's deadline. They would have gotten a deal if they just had more time. Well, that's a little contrary to what we've heard before.
Josh Jacobs about 2.5 weeks ago, and I'm talking to him about the contract situation. You know what he told me? He said the Raiders did not even offer him a contract. Whoa.
So the Raiders did not even offer him a contract until 2 weeks before the deadline. They weren't even trying, and Jacobs saw this disrespect coming all the way back from the Pro Bowl.
I ain't felt disrespected in any type of way yet, so we're gonna see how it goes.
And check this out, Las Vegas Review-Journal, who talks to Dave Ziegler, who talks to Josh McDaniels, they're saying that the Raiders have always been open to talking to Josh Jacobs all the way back from July 17th. But then we get a little reply from Josh Jacobs' agent right here. What are you hearing from your contact Ziegler? Is there a chance? Oh my goodness, Josh Jacobs' agent is calling out reporters and calling out Dave Ziegler by name. And I wonder who liked this tweet. I want to know who liked this tweet right here. Oh my goodness, Josh mother effing Jacobs liked this tweet. So just to sober up and be a little less dramatic, man, look, I understand that the Raiders don't want to pay a running back a ton of money. I mean, that's a trend in the NFL. But don't BS the media and don't put lies out there and make it seem like you're trying to negotiate with the guy when you're not. And that's where I think the disrespect comes. Don't try to act like you're trying to sign this guy when you really want to move on from him. Just move on from him if that's what you want to do. Don't disrespect him. Don't slander him and put messages in the media that make it sound like he's being difficult, that he just doesn't want to sign a long-term contract. Don't lie about him and disrespect that player, because that's going to make it a lot more difficult to get new players in the future when they hear about the way you treated Josh Jacobs. And oh my goodness, breaking news, we just discovered this from Raiders team media. It is apparently Derek Carr's fault why Jimmy Garoppolo keeps throwing interceptions. This is absolutely insane. I cannot believe this story actually exists. The comedy continues to write itself. Derek Carr left the Raiders organization graciously, but they continue to still slander him. And I don't want to really put this on your boy Q. I really like your boy Q. I think he's great at his job. I think he's a really nice guy. I think he's an honest guy. And he is just reporting on something that he has been told by somebody who he says knows more than him. This is somebody who knows more than him, and he won't name that person, but I think it probably rhymes with BLT the prick. But let's just dig into some of these claims, and then let's just break down the validity of these claims. That's what we do in the news, right?
I talked to head coach John Gruden at the time, who talked to, owner Mark Davis on the regular. Like, there's guys that know a lot more than I do, and so I'm just being respectful of them without throwing their name out there.
Yeah, you got to be respectful and do that, because I wouldn't want my name attached to this BS.
And let it be known that, hey, there was some instructions that in training camp you don't go intercept the quarterback because you don't want to mess with his confidence. I don't think that's the case with Jimmy.
It's not the case with Jimmy. You're allowed to pick off Jimmy G. And so the reason why Jimmy G has substantially more interceptions than Derek Carr in training camp so far is because we previously weren't allowed to pick off DC. The Raiders did not want to evaluate cornerbacks. They did not want to evaluate safeties. So apparently we were never allowed to pick off Derek Carr. Apparently it wasn't allowed with John Gruden. August 2018, Derek Carr talks about his first pick in training camp on a stupid scramble drill. He was bummed. August 2020, cornerback Isaiah Johnson picked off Derek Carr on a pass to Henry Ruggs. And Carr elaborated on his pick in 2018, saying that he was glad to get the first pick out of the way. 2021, Gruden's last year as the head coach, Trayvon Mullen with an interception on Derek Carr. Brian Edwards could not come up with the catch. And this is just spending a few minutes looking this up, and it only takes a few minutes to discover that this claim is complete bullshit. And your boy Q, I love the guy, great at his job, honest guy, and I really believe he is just repeating what he is being told by somebody else. And he said that it was a conversation that was being held by people that know a lot more than I do. There was something going on like that. And then he starts to sort of backtrack once he realizes, maybe I shouldn't just put out a claim that slanders the former quarterback just to make the current guy look better because he's throwing interceptions. And he continues to say that there's people who know way more than him, and it was brought up, nothing more, nothing less, overblown. It's overblown. I gotta backtrack. It's overblown. It's blowing me away. And if John Gruden was supposedly protecting Derek Carr by not allowing the defense to pick off the ball, well, was McDaniels doing the same thing last year? Because remember last year in training camp, Derek Carr had a freakish training camp streak where he had not thrown a pick for a significant amount of time. He was locked and loaded. Maybe this guy, I know this is a crazy thought, but maybe this guy is just a better quarterback than the current quarterback we have, who pretty much still has a broken foot. And so here's my thing. Like I said, I'm not blaming your boy Q for this. He's just repeating what he has been told by somebody else. But to the person who told him this is what I'm saying to you, man. Why do you gotta bring this man down, Derek Carr, just to make you feel better about your current quarterback? That is sad and that is pathetic. All Derek Carr has done since he's left is try to leave in grace, and his brothers have, said some things about the Raiders, but Derek Carr has always tried to be nice. And as a fan base, Raiders fans, we have to move on from Derek Carr, and that goes for the haters too. You gotta move on from this guy. Keep my favorite quarterback's name out of your motherfucking mouth, because I'm sick and tired of the Raiders sending out bullshit lies about players who leave the team just to pump up their own team that looks shitty right now. I'm sorry, the team looks shitty right now, and that is how you know this team looks shitty right now, is because they're going to desperate measures just to pump their current quarterback up by slandering the guy who just left. So hopefully we have good news coming out of camp for Jimmy Garoppolo instead of just another pick by Isaiah Polamau. And hopefully the Raiders team media can move on from the Raiders quarterback who's broken all the franchise records and quit talking about him just to boost the current team up. So my message is leave him alone, move on, focus on the positives of your team, and quit talking about the former franchise quarterback. That's all I'm going to say. I'm moving on. I stopped talking about Carr on this channel. I got my NFL channel where I talk about him and the New Orleans Saints. For those who want to check that out, look up WiFiWillie NFL. And I don't want to harp on this, and I could talk about this more, but my wife is telling me to stop, but it really pisses me off, and I'm gonna let it go. I'm gonna let it go. So let's just all come together. Let's all move on. We have to report the news when it happens, but let's just stop slandering people. Let's stop holding on to the past. I haven't even brought up so many things that I could bring up on this channel. I'm trying to move forward, and I'm trying to root for the Raiders and hope they win a lot of games this year, and hope Carr has a lot of success with the rest of his career at the same time. My name is WiFiWillie. Peace out, and I hope you have a good one.